Hey gang, how we doing? We're in for another songwriting session today. My computer crashed just as I was getting on. So that's what happened, why I'm a little late, because my computer decided to shut down right at 11 o'clock. As I was gathering up my songs for you guys today, I know. Oh no, exactly. Hey Robert, how you doing? Good to see you again. Good to see you. And it's good to see you. Oh, heavenly, heavenly. Um, Today, in our songwriting quest for good storytelling, we're going to get into some symbolic writing, some symbolic titles, and see how different writers use supportive language to support the title. The first song we're going to do is we did one last week, which was real interesting. We did which song I just love, "Tunnel of Love." It was really awesome. And "Tunnel of Love," it started off being a real tunnel of love, and by the end of the song, we realized, actually by the middle of the song, we realized, wait a minute, this stands for the tunnel of love, of the concept and the emotion love, when we get into falling in love. And so that wonderful contrast between the real and the figurative was part of the reason that the song kept your interest until the very end. The other thing that was interesting about that song was that it was the first two verses were all physical writing about the real world, about the real tunnel of love, and then in the bridge we started to convert from imagery and physical writing of the senses to concept. And to me, that was just fascinating. And then the last verse, instead of staying in the physical world and continuing the story, he gave the big picture. So the lesson there was, you can do a story with the senses, descriptions, actions, and conversations. You can do emotions. And then rather than going back to the story, you can get into the bigger picture from the eagle's standpoint, looking down, flying over the situation and looking down at it, going, oh yeah, I see what's going on here, blah, blah, blah. Bigger picture. So I thought that was just a wonderful, this is good. Good. I'm glad, Robert, that you are listening a lot. That's great. That's great. Love to have you aboard. Let's see. So today we're going to continue this idea of having a symbolic title and just see how different writers approach this symbolism, right? Now, as we know, symbols are a wonderful thing about because they can link the real world with the emotional world, right? Like a tunnel of love, we have a real picture of a tunnel of love, and then we have the concept, so we get both with the symbol. Now, this song we're going to do today, well, at least the first one, and maybe you'll take the whole lesson. I never know how long these things take, because I'm just running through this with you live as it happens, right? So there has been no pre-rehearsal. I just know that I love this song, and I also know that this song has a lot of lessons in it. So we're going to get right to it. because it's already 10 after. The song we're going to do today, well, the first one, is The River by Garth Brooks. So if you would, I'm going to put that first song, oops, RST first, FIRST song, The River by Garth Brooks. All right, we'll post that. So go online and just grab that lyric. It'll come right up, I'm sure, right on the front page. Make sure again that you click the little, and it's a very, very light arrow shaped kind of like this. It's a very broad shaped arrow, and just click on that, and boom, the whole lyric will open. And then if you want to print it, fantastic. I've got my printed lyrics over here. So, hopefully I will not cover, I'm going to put something on top of that. I'm going to put a little fork right there so that I won't cover that. I accidentally cover, sometimes with the pages, I cover the microphone, which can be frustrating. So I will try not to do that today. All right, let us begin our quest of joy and see. By the way, you guys out there and gals, does the sound of the fan cooling the computer, does that bother you? Can you hear the rushing of that fan? I can turn it off if it's bothersome. My laptop is sitting on a little fan that's it's not too loud. I can barely hear it, but it may be really annoying to you people out there listening. So let me know if that fan is bothering you. All right. And in the meantime, we're going to go The River. Here we go, and we're talking about telling a story using symbols, right? And the symbol here is the river. And let's just see what they do with this, all right? Let's go to stories, and let's go down here and look for the river. I should have it in here. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this won't be too loud.
A dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. And a dreamer's just a vessel that must follow where it goes. Trying to learn from what's behind you and never knowing what's in store makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand beside and let the water slip away. till what we put off till tomorrow has now become today. So don't you sit up on the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. And there's bound to be rougher waters, but I know I'll take some falls. But with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Till the river runs dry.
And so forth. If we were a radio station, we would have faded it out there. Wow, what's happening here? What's going on? The song's called The River. Okay. The reason why I picked this song is because when you pick an image to use as a symbol, such as the river, teachers, and myself included, might say, you don't want to overuse river supporting images, like the bank of a river, waves, current, things that have to do with the river. You use too much of that and it gets corny. It gets, overblown and melodramatic, and what happens? The audiences lose interest because they stop believing you, right? As we all know, or if we don't, I'm going to tell you right now, listeners of music magnate towards the truth. They all love the truth, and when they hear something that rings true to them, they keep listening. If they hear something that doesn't ring true to them, that sounds false or phony, they're out of here, right? Which, by the way, is why it's really tough to do when you're writing. One of the difference between country music and pop music is, and pop and R&B, I might add, is that country music can be clever, and country folks seem to love cleverness, especially in the plot. Like you can have a twist in a plot, such as, I loved her first. So you think it's the boyfriend at the beginning, but then in the middle of the chorus, or at the beginning of the second verse, you realize it's the dad talking to the groom. So that kind of little twisty, clevery stuff, pop music and R&B really doesn't like that clever stuff. For the most part, again, there's always exceptions to this, always. But for the most part, clever doesn't float in the pop and R&B world. Now this song, I picked it. Why? Because it is freaking loaded, over the top, with symbolic support words. And we can go through this song, well, we're going to go through the song verse by verse, chorus by chorus, bridge by bridge, and we're going to find out how many words, how many support words there are. And then we're going to talk about, why does it work? Why is it not, why doesn't it sound blown out of proportion? And I might add to that that sometimes I actually do feel that it's a little overblown. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. First, I have to reheat my coffee because it got a little cold. All right. As you know, I like to play the song all the way through to give honor to the songwriters and the production and the players and the producer and the songwriters. By the way, Victoria Shaw was a co-writer with Garth Brooks on this song. So Garth wrote this song with Victoria. Now, I don't know, I've met Victoria before and we've hung out a little bit. So, but I don't know the particular story of how this song started. But I have a suspicion that one of the reasons why this song, so overblown with images, with river-y images, one of the reasons why it works is because the artist, mega superstar, co-wrote the song. Now, if back in the day when I was writing, I was a massive writer in the late 70s and all through the mid 80s. I had a bunch of cuts with different artists. You can go on my website, oh, wait a minute. My website's temporarily down. I have to fix that. So, at any rate, I wrote songs for Don Williams, George Jones, Mickey Gilley, the Everly Brothers, Brenda Lee, in their later careers. I didn't write a song for them in the 60s and the 50s. I was only 12 years old. Not that I couldn't have written a song back then. But, little side story. I used to think, I grew up on rock and roll. I was 12 years old in 1956. That's when Elvis Presley really broke with You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel. And Rick Nelson came out with, I believe, It's Late. I think it's late. It's late. Gotta get on home. It's late. We've been gone too long. Which, by the way, was the first #1 song on the brand new Top 40 Billboard chart. Was created specifically for rock and roll. I think that chart started in early 1957, and the first #1 song was Rick Nelson. And it actually might have been Lonesome Town. I don't know, but you can look it up. It was one of Rick Nelson's hits. And why? Because he had a TV show, The Nelsons. He's a smart kid. Anyway, I digress. I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyway, I will say that Chuck Berry did not get enough credit for creating rock and roll. I'm going to say that right off the top of my head. Chuck Berry pretty much single-handedly created guitar rock and roll. I mean, Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard pretty much created piano rock and roll. But, man, Chuck Berry, he was the first, what we call throwing shapes, throwing shapes. Yeah. At any rate, let's get back to this song. We had a little sidebar down memory lane. The River, and we've talked about, oh my God, this thing is so overblown, but we think one of the reasons that the song was such a success is because the artist wrote the song, right? If I had turned this in my day, that's where I was. Oh, we're back on the page where I flipped off and went crazy. Back in the day when I was writing, if I had turned the song in, my publisher might have said, "Hey, Rick, this is pretty melodramatic and kind of over the top. I don't know, are people going to believe this?" And I would say, well, maybe I should back off some of these images and go with the real world. But no. Let's look at this lyric and see why, besides the fact that Garth wrote it. So, and Garth was the biggest thing since sliced bread. When this song was released in the early 90s, or in the mid-90s, he had just become the biggest star in human history. And a lot of people were converting from rock and roll. They were starting to listen to country music because country music was taken over by young artists. And so Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn and George Jones and Merle Haggard were getting pushed out of the nest. And I mean really fast. It happened over a period of about 1 year. The DJs they had enough of these young people to just fill up all the slots. Ricky Skaggs, the Forrester Sisters, a young Faith Hill, it was just coming in. Well, the biggest one, though, by far, was Garth Brooks, followed by, who was the guy on Warner Brothers that was so big? I Love You, Forever and Ever, Amen. Who was that, Robert? Do you remember who that was? Forever and Ever, Amen. Had a real deep voice, real beautiful voice. He was another one. And I've just brain farting away here. I forgot his name. It'll come to me in a minute. Randy Travis. Yeah. Randy Travis. Silky sweet voice. That big, deep. I mean, he was, to me, he was real country. That guy, he was country. He was taking over. He was following Merle Haggard and George Jones's footsteps. I believe he was the real deal. Garth represented the sort of the young sound of real country. Yeah. And then there was the guy from Bakersfield, the firecracker, Dwight Yoakam. Back then, man, he was a firecracker. Woo! He was a hard dog to put under the porch. You know what I'm saying? He was a toughie. He was a scrappy little bugger, and put out some killer songs. And then he ended up being a great actor as well. All right, let's get back to this song and figure out, let's look at all these images. We have the river. What does the river represent? Well, let's just see. Let's see when we figure out when the river, let's just see where we know the river is not a river. Let's see how quick it takes us to figure that out. Well, already, can we just talk about the mood that's being set by this track, these wonderful musicians? By the way, Garth used his road band in the studio. He's one of the most faithful artists. One of the most faithful artists using the same band. You know, when Garth goes out, it's the Garth Brooks band. It's not just Garth Brooks. And he uses the same guys, and he's been using them since he started recording with Alan Reynolds, the producer. He brought these guys in the studio, and he took them on the road with him, and back into the studio, on the road, back in the studio. And they served him so well. Such great, great musicians. Chris Lusinger and my dear friend Bruce Boughton on steel, and I don't know if he's playing the slide there or not. It's either Bruce or Chris. I'm not sure who's playing the slide there, but did they set a mood or what? There's this dreamy kind of thing, and then in comes the slide guitar, which gives it a little kind of edge. So we've got this dreamy with an edge. So great setup, great mood setup. You know, we can call this the rule of, let's call it the rule of 20 seconds. When you're playing a demo for a producer or an artist, you've got, I mean, tops 20 seconds to impress them. And that's tops. I would even cut it down to 15, maybe even 12. Just, you know, when the first, they'll tolerate, if the opening's really good, if the musicians are really good on the intro, you're good until the first couple of lines. After the first, and I mean this, man, I'm serious. If the first couple of lines don't get them, there's no reason to waste their time. They're on to the next song, because a guy like Garth, of course, Garth wrote a lot of his own songs, but people pitched to Garth, and he did cut the outside songs. So, I mean, they put 200-300 songs on hold, right? So, if you wanted to get to the top of that pile, you better grab someone's attention right away and keep that attention. We've talked about the arc of the story also is the arc of interest. We want to keep their interest climbing and climbing. We never want it to level off, right? So while we look at these songs, we want to always pay attention to how these writers keep people's interest and why it never really levels off, right? So we always want to be paying attention to original detail, to elements of contrast, and elements of repetition. Those three things, right? Unique detail, contrast, and repetition. Those are the tools. Those are your guns. Those are your big guns. Coming out blasting, right? So, again, little review there. Let's continue on with the opening of the song. So we got the mood. I mean, the musicians did a brilliant job in setting the mood. Now let's see where this thing's going to go. pause, pause.
You know a dream is like a river.
Oh. Okay. So what just happened? Did these two brilliant writers decide to let you know on the very first line what this song is about and what this river actually is? The answer is a resounding yes. So, lesson learned, ladies and gentlemen. If you are writing a song about your military experience and you want to pick like you say, war is like, what would war be like? I mean, war is like, you could say a sandstorm, or war is like war is like an anvil. War is like a, you could pick many images, right? War is like a lion. It roars, it stalks, it pounces, and it does these things. So you could pick a thing to write about, but you start right, if you're going to get really, really into the symbolic world, you should let the audience know right away what's going on, right? So, great opening line. There's no doubt about what this song is about. Now, let's see how they develop this idea. So, right away, a dream is like a river, right? So we know, and like, by the way, makes it, oh, this is a good point I'm going to make. I'm going to make a good point right now. Are you ready? War is like a picture. War is like a painting. Yeah. War is like a charcoal drawing, right? Yeah. Exactly. It looks the same every time. Yeah, very interesting. Interesting comment there, Robert. Oh, yeah. This is great. You're going to learn a little something here. What is the difference between a simile and a metaphor? This is a simile. And war is like an open wound, right? Now that's an interesting, Nina, hey, glad you joined us. Glad you joined us. Yes, war is very much like an open wound. That's a very pregnant image, right? I always call image, like when you think of an idea for a song, I always say, is it pregnant? Does it have a lot to say? Is there a lot of meat around those bones? Can you develop that into 2 verses, a chorus, and maybe a bridge, or verse, lift, meaning pre-chorus, chorus? Can you develop all that? And something like Open Wound, that has many, many, many images. That's a high impact image, meaning there's a lot to say with that. It is, however, an interesting choice in that an open wound actually physically happens in war, right? So this would be an open wound, would be an image like, it would be very much like Tunnel of Love. Now, Nina, were you around for my Tunnel of Love lecture? If not, you should go back onto YouTube or CreatiVets.com and pick up on my lecture about, which I think it was our last one, was on Tunnel of Love. That was taking a real image and converting it into a a symbol, a concept, right? So you could start your song with, I got a wound. I had to heal this I had to heal this open wound. Or you could do the same thing with this. You could do your song like the one we're doing today. You could start part of it. Okay, good. Anyway, go back and check it out. So you have a choice with something like open wound, which is actually a real thing. You have a choice. You can either start the song saying, "War is like an open wound," and so now we have both images of open wound big and open wound for real, right? So that's an interesting and great idea, actually. You should write that, Nina. You should write it. Where were we? Oh yeah, but the difference between metaphors and similes. So a metaphor is something. Like if I wanted this song to be a metaphor, I would say a dream is a river. Okay? Now here, feel the difference between that. A dream is a river. Now listen to this. A dream is like a river. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Good, Nina. Jot those ideas down, or put it in your, I have my phone with me. Your voice memos. I use voice memos a lot. That way I don't lose lyrics, and I don't lose melodies. Speaking of losing and winning, let me turn off my ringer. Oh, it is off. Okay, good, because I don't want to bother. We're having too much fun to be bothered by the phone, right? Okay. So, the difference between these two is really important. It's subtle, but it's an important subtlety. Okay. When you say a dream is a river, notice how strong the river part of that comes out. So the river really dominates that statement. But if I say a dream is like a river, notice how the focus is on dream. The dream is like this thing. Whereas a dream is a river. You see how the river just takes over? So the image is stronger, right? Whereas in a simile, that's in a metaphor. In a simile, a dream is like a river. The river is like, and we still get on with the dream, right? We can continue with the thing that it's like. I mean, the thing that's being compared, sorry. Right? So, that's an important difference. So, in other words, another way to put it is, similes where you use the words like or as, that's a simile. They're not as strong of a statement as a metaphor where you actually are something, right? Boom. Right? Like the Paul Simon song, I am a rock, I am an island. You really feel the rock and the island so strong, and it also kind of stops the action a little bit, because you go, I am a rock, boom. It's like a big old period, isn't there? I am a rock, bam. I am an island, bam. Right? Whereas, I am like an island, comma. Right? You see the difference? It's a whole different idea there. All right. So, we've heard the opening line, and we're almost done with our session. No. Okay, here we go. So we know that this thing is, the dream is like a river, so we're concentrating on the dream idea. And we understand that it's like this thing, like this flowing thing, okay?
Ever changing as it flows, And a dreamer's just a vessel that must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you and never knowing what's in store. Makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores.
Whoa, there's a lot going on there. Let's tear this down, shall we? Okay, we've got, man, there's so much happening here. You know, a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. So, yes, Garth's voice is very sweet, yeah. And it's youthful, you know. Whereas Randy Travis had that older voice style. He sounded like, he sounded like a man that had been around for 400 years. And Garth, his voice sounded, young and vibrant and, just had a totally different texture. And it was, can we say ka-ching? Yeah, we can say that. A dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. So right away we've got river and flows. And a dreamer's just a vessel. Wow. See how they're setting everything up? That must follow where it goes. Where it goes. So you see all the images. There's just so much imagery here about a river. Even though it says it's like a river, it's really, really strong. It's very strong. So even though I said at the beginning, like is a weaker than a simile is weaker than a metaphor. Victoria and Garth just piled on the symbolic support words so thick that he might as well have said a dream is a river. He might as well have said that. But I think he said it, I think they used like to soften a little bit, and it also has a nice bounce. A dream is like a river. Isn't that a nice bounce? Ba, ba, da, ba, da, da. Whereas if he'd done a dream is a river, has a whole other bounce. Ba, da, 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 da. You see how you can stretch that out? Da, 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 da. So they just like the sound of using like instead of using a dream is a river. So you start off kind of tame. So, a dream is kind of like a river, ever changing as it flows. Oh, we're going to get into river images, are we? Oh, yeah, we are. And a dreamer's just a vessel that must follow where it goes. So we have this pretty complex image of a river flowing, and there's a vessel on it. So this might be one of the reasons why this song was so popular and why it won over the audience, even though it was so overblown and melodramatic and over the top, because of the complexity of the image and the fact that it did ring true. A vessel can be on a river. And if a vessel's on a river, it also tells you something about the size of the river too, doesn't it? It's like the Mississippi. It's a huge river. For a vessel to be on it, it would have to be a majorly huge monster of a river, right? Yeah. So where are we? Okay. Must follow where it goes. So we have a picture of it weaving around, trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store. Now these two lines are a reprieve, right? Those are just pure emotion. So we get out of the image, right? We get out of the never knowing what's in store. So and that's so interesting. Never knowing what's in store. Again, it's just a pure image of emotion, and then makes each day a constant battle. Again, we're staying in emotions and not using the river anymore, just to stay between the shores. Oh, so between the shores, right? So let's see. River, flow, vessel. Learn from what height, never know it, or kind of see between the shores. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 images, 4 supporting images that have to do with river in that one, right? And so they're not shy about throwing out these images. They realized that they had some really good, sincere, right? Oh, really? Okay. Robert says that Yeats wrote a poem called His Dream, one of his favorite poems. That's very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. We'll have to check that out after we get through the session. So we have a really complex setup, right? So, and even though it's melodramatic, it sounds very truthful. We have enough pure emotion. We have 3 lines of pure emotion, which support the images, right? So we talk about imagery. We got river, flowing, and vessel, and following where it goes. So we have this sense, but then we have just pure emotions. These are the emotions that I feel from these images, right? Pure emotions. And then we close it with another river image, just to stay between the shores, right? Okay, so notice how each day's a constant battle just to stay between the shores. So here we are. He sets up, I'm in this vessel, and I'm doing the best I can, all right? Here we go.
And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many.
Okay, I couldn't stop it because of that beautiful slide guitar. So now we say, a dream's like a river, and the dreamer's the vessel. So this is third person. The dreamer's this. It's a constant battle to stay within the shore. Now, and I will sail my vessel. Notice suddenly it's personal. So we go from general to specific in the chorus, right? Isn't that interesting? Using a general, a dreamer, third person. A dreamer is this thing over here. So you're turning and you're singing to the audience and you're going, look over here. A dreamer is like a vessel sailing on a river, trying to stay within the shores. It's difficult for this person over here, right? Now, and I will sail my vessel like this person. And how am I going to sail it? How am I going to do it? Until the river runs dry. Now, very strong commitment there, isn't it? So we have a very strong feeling from this singer that he or she is just not going to give up. And again, you can always use, the thing I love about evaluating these songs is, you too, vets, you can use this song as a template. So you can say, we had a great idea, an open wound. I will heal this open wound. I mean, this isn't a lyric, but I will tend this open wound until it's completely healed. I won't give up on this wound until it's healed. You see how I'm kind of using the same ideas that they are, and I'm putting it onto my own idea. So, and you could use that anywhere in the chorus. You didn't have to necessarily open with that. You could close with that. Well, oh, they did close with it. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. Wow. You know, he steps outside, you know, and this is a brilliant move on their part, on Victoria and Garth's part. They step outside the river image to give you an image of a bird upon the wind, which, you know, that would be a mixed metaphor if he didn't explain why he went there. Because, you know, when you're talking about rivers, you don't want to talk about tanks or roads, right? It's too confusing. It's called a mixed metaphor. It doesn't stay in the metaphor. You want your supporting words to be about river. But he did do it. He said, like a bird upon the wind. Like this. So you're waiting, like this, what? These waters are my sky. You go, oh, right, yeah, like a bird, the wind, the waters are my sky. And what a beautiful image. What a beautiful, beautiful image. And, you know, I mean, that's that wonderful magic, I call it spark, of creativity. When these two writers were sitting there and they were saying, I will sail this vessel till the river runs dry, and I could just see the two of them going, what rhymes with dry? Dry. Sky. Sky's so cool. Sky's really cool. The water's my sky. And you could say, yeah, well, the water's my sky, but we need to fill it in. You could say, and these clear blue troubled waters are my sky. They could have just used that whole thing, but then you're going, are my sky, I don't know, why don't we compare it to something? They go, oh yeah, like a bird upon the wind, these waters are, that's how to do it. Use a comparison, right? Very, very smart. Very smart. Good move. Good move on their part. All right? I'll never reach my destination if I never try. There's your pure emotional conclusive statement. There's a lot of conclusion. This song is built on conclusive statements, isn't it? Trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores. This has that kind of overreaching, conclusive vibration about it, you know, which is, again, one of the reasons why this song works, is it's a song built on conclusive writing, where you're making grand statements, one grand statement after another, right? So, so these statements, they're big and overblown, and the fact that they're so big and yet honest keeps our attention. We're going, whoa, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. Wow, that's right. So, you know, that's what's going on here. A lot of really big, grand statements. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail this vessel till the river runs dry. So because it's only 4 lines, and they're going to open and close with the same line, and this is what I think went on here. They said less is more, right? Let's not make this a real big, you know, chorus. And I mean, they could have made the chorus even smaller if they'd gone, you know, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, till the river runs dry. Oh yeah, till the river runs dry. Gonna sail my vessel till the river runs dry, till the river runs dry. My Gibbo. Love my Gibbo. Cutaway. Mahogany. It's called an AG. So it's an AG. AG! This guitar sounds good. AG! AG. Acoustic. Get it on. Acoustic Gargantuan. AG. At any rate, Astounding Gargantua. See, this is why I'm a songwriter. You know, I come up with these great ideas. Okay. Yeah. So they only wrote 2 lines in between the top line and the bottom line. So less is more. Less is more. And it worked really well for them. I love the image of the bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I mean, that's just brilliant writing. That's brilliant creativity. And it could have come, like I said, from just trying to rhyme dry. What are all the options? Sky is one of the options. Well, sky is a part of nature, right? A river is part of nature. So they figured out a way to make sky work by saying, these waters are my sky, meaning, oh yeah, like a bird, right? And I don't know which came first, the bird or the egg. All right. I'll never reach and then a pure emotional, I'll never reach my destination if I never try. And try is such an easy rhyme word, right? Dry, sky, try, and they went, oh, try, of course. Of course. I'll never get where I want to go if I don't try. I mean, that's just, that's an easy third line there. But it does ring true, doesn't it? It rings true like, I'll never do this until I try, so I'm gonna sail this vessel till the river runs dry. Amazing. Okay, let's go on to the second verse and see how this overblown song continues to work, right? And remember, we talked about to keep the arc of entertainment, the arc of interest, rising throughout the song, we want unique details, contrast, and repetition. Oh, by the way, speaking of contrast, it says that like a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Bring a pot of water. Notice that the chorus is very much sung, very much like the verse. That's an interesting observation that I'm glad we made, right? The royal we, me. There's hardly any contrast there. So why did it work? Why did it work? Don't you want contrast between the verse and the chorus? Isn't that what we're taught? We want to use that tool. So why did they not use this tool? Why did they keep it the same? This is what I call, at least musically, it's what I call a groove song. And so we have this floating, dream-like, a dream is like a river. And now we're in a dream. And we don't want to break the hypnotic spell of the dream, right? So, instead of going like a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. Could have gone, and I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Oh, haven't sung all day. And like a bird upon the wind, this water is my sky, and I will reach my destination if I never try. dry mouth. I have coffee mouth, coffee breath, and coffee mouth. Well, why didn't they do that? Because they didn't want to break the hypnotic spell. You will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. See? It keeps it in the groove, keeps it in the pocket, in the dream. We never pop the bubble, right? The bubble of the dream, of the hypnotic spell that this song is weaving, right? So, you too can write a groove song. It's a very, the song is about dreaming. So, why not keep it dreamy? And don't make it, rather than doing that, right? I'll do my vocal exercises after this, okay? All right, let's move on to the second verse and see if we continue our upward interest arc, or do we kind of level off? Let's see.
Too many times we stand beside and let the water slip away, till what we put off till tomorrow has now become today. So don't you sit up on the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry.
Notice when the chorus comes in, there is a tiny little contrast. A woman, and it might be Victoria singing. A woman is singing harmony with him. Let's see if he did that on the first chorus.
Shore, and I will sail my vessel
No.
till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail.
If I never try. Now that might be higher than the verse. Behind you, never knowing what's in store. Yeah, okay. So he did change a little bit at the end of the chorus, didn't he? If I never try. Notice how he just kind of wipes it off. He doesn't go, if I never try. No, if I never try. It's just a very sweet little, gentle, like a hint of a high note. Very delicately placed. And I guarantee you he did it on purpose. I guarantee you he did it on purpose. He says, let's just make that a wisp of a high note. If I never try, and I will say, again, keeping that nice, dreamy texture in the song, right? Okay, so do we continue with new information? You betcha. You betcha. Okay, so what he's doing is he's expanding, he and Victoria, Garth and Victoria are expanding on what they said in the first verse. Let's expand on that a little bit. Too many times we stand aside and let the water slip by. So there's water slipping by, okay? So there's the first, first image of river, right? Till we put off till tomorrow. Till what we put off till tomorrow has become today. So I love that because we step outside the images and just pure emotion there, right? So we take a break from the river imagery. So don't you sit upon the shoreline, there's another one, and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. Do you love the dare to dance? We call that an alliteration. alliteration where you have the same first letter inside the line. Dare to dance. Don't you do it to me. Now the ninja strikes again. Na, 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 da, da. All right, so alliterations are always cool. Assonants are also very cool. Like if he said, dare, I'll dare to be caring to you. Dare and caring don't necessarily rhyme because caring, ing doesn't rhyme with dare, right? Ing rhymes with sting, caring. So they don't rhyme, but they have the same vowel sound. Dare and caring, right? So that's assonance. And those little tricks to do inside lines, when you're writing, it's always good to check on that. You know, you might be able to replace a word, you know, like too many times we stand aside. Times stand aside. We've got a little rhyme there. Too many moments, many moments. But moments is a two-syllable word, so that wouldn't work. Too many times we tell aside. No, that won't work. But you see how I'm trying to get T's and T's and A's and A's and E's and E's and I's and I. It's great to have those little pings every now and then to sweeten the lyric up a little. You know, they're great little tricks. So you know, anytime I have a weak line, yeah, deceptive cadence, exactly. Yep. Anytime you have a weak word in a line, I like to see if I can pull that word and give it and replace it with a word that has either assonance or alliteration, right? Either begins with the same letter as one of the dominant words in the line, or has the same vowel sound as one of the major words in the line, right? Fun. It's a fun trick to do, and I do it. I do it often, actually, to be quite frank with you, because I figure, you know, if you sweeten your song with those little alliterations and assonance, you're showing, you know, that you're a pro. You know, you're impressing people. Come on, and it sounds cool. Why not just sound cool, right? So, yeah. Choose to chant the rapids and dare to dance the tide. So how many do we have? We have waters, slip away. Then we have pure emotion. And then shoreline, rapids, dancing the tide, right? So we've got, they really loaded the second verse. And again, my publisher could have said to me, Rick, this is just too over the top. It's too much. You just need to back off some of this. It's just people are not going to believe it. But yet, they did. And that's why I use this as an example of a song that is overblown, but still working. Why? Because it comes off sincere. And this is a tough nut to crack. To do a lot of symbolic support lines. So if you're doing open wound, you know, you can do bandages, you can do triage, you can do ambulance, blood, bones, muscle, surgeon. You know, there's a million things you can use. And I know I'm talking to Nina here. So you have to figure out what's really going to work and sound honest and sincere to you, and use as many as you want, as you can get away with, that sound real and truthful and that hit you right here, right? But you can overload it to where people are going, oh man, this is too much. It's just too much. And with open wound, I think to myself, okay, that's a negative title, open wound, right? It has a lot of power. But whenever I have a negative title, I always remember the adage, less is more. Less is more. When you're doing negative songs, a little goes a long way, right? So I'd be careful with, if I were writing this song, I'd be careful using stretchers and blood and muscle tissue and scalpels and triage and stretchers and ambulances. I'd be very careful how I chose to use those things. And again, Nina, it depends on how you. You're saying you're thinking innocence. Well, that's an interesting concept. Very interesting. I'd love to see you develop that idea. That could be really, really fantastic, actually. I hope this lecture or discussion or hanging out encourages you and inspires you to go, as soon as this thing's over, that you get on that bitch, ride that pony, and get it done, get her done, get her started anyway. So one of the approaches you could do, Nina, is you could do it you could tell a real story. You could say, you could say, my mind is like an open wound. See what I mean? And now you're talking about your mind. My mind is like an open wound. Now, open wound is such a high impact phrase. Open wound. Whoa. That has so much imagery. I would say it's like a 40-ton truck load of imagery, right? A herd of elephants of imagery that you wouldn't need to necessarily use a lot of bandages and surgery and so forth. You can say oh, good, you're already starting it. Oh, that's fantastic. But to continue my thoughts, if you said my mind is like an open wound, then you can just stay in your mind at that point, because you don't even have to mention surgery, stretchers, or anything. You can stay in the literal world or just in the pure emotional world. You don't need to reference this open wound that much. You can simply say, my mind is like an open wound. It just can't forget. It can't do this, it can't do that. Because an open wound means it's bleeding and you can't stop it, right? And so you can use that image, less is more, and go into the real world of emotions and emotions, and also the physical examples of that emotion. Like I say, my mind is like an open wound. I just can't stop these nightmares. And in these nightmares, I see, this and that and the other thing, and then you don't necessarily have to do, and then you can say, I can't wait till the day that I heal this open wound. So you don't even have to, Nina, if you don't want to, you don't have to use any other images of bandages, doctors, hospital surgeons. You don't have to use any other. You can just use the open wound as this real situation that I'm talking about is like an open wound, and then go into and just stay in the reality. Or like Garth did, like Garth and Victoria did, you can also, flesh it out and see how many of those images, supportive images like ambulances and, and bleeding and so forth, how many of those you can use and not completely gross people out, because we want the song, we meaning you, want the song to be truthful and heartfelt and serious, right? But we don't want it to be so gross that it turns the audience away, where they're going, "Ooh, this is too much. I can't take this. It's just too much," right? So just, you're going to have to ride a delicate balance between those two things. And I know you're going to be able to handle it, because you're a songwriter. You got the power, girl. All right, let's keep going here, because we've got a bridge to talk about, and then we're going to have to sign off for the day. Oh, by the way, the next song we're going to do, I'm going to choose between Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, which is a pretty sexy song. And again, it's a song that is way over the top, but so far into abstract writing that he pulls it off and gets away with it. So, I think we're going to talk about that song next, and then I want to talk about conversations. One way to create a plot is to have two people talking, right? And we're going to do that with the Beatles. 2 songs. You Say Yes, I Say No, right? That's one. And then another one is Baby, You Could Drive My Car, which is also, he's definitely talking to someone. Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm going to be a star. So we could talk about those 2 songs also. So that's just a preview of what is to come on when? Friday at 11. Friday at 11, don't be late. Excuse me. Maybe I should take a drink of water. Hydrate. There we go. Gonna be my testimony. That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, and Nina, you can send me what you got. Go to CreatiVets.com or .org. Sorry, CreatiVets.org, and ask one of those guys on the website. Say, hook me up with. Give me Rick Beresford's email and or phone number. Text me or and get in touch with me that way. I have to do it through a filter. I've been instructed by CreatiVets to not put my personal information on these chats because people hack into these chats. I've already been hacked twice since I've been doing this. We've had people interfering with the conversation and trying to get us to go to websites and things that were not good. And we had one person that was just starting to talk about really, really like dark and crazy stuff. So at any rate, I can't give my information to you, but absolutely call, get in touch with CreatiVets, and they will hook you up because they'll know that you're for real, and they'll go, yeah, for real person. Here's his info. All right. So I look forward to talking. We can do it through Skype, FaceTime. My wife has a Zoom account, so we can do it that way, or we can just do it through speakerphone, or we can do it just, if you want me to just look at it and email it back to you, we can do it that way. I have many different techniques, but it's more fun to do it live. So that's just your choice. Anyway, and that goes for anybody listening. If you want me to critique your stuff, I would love to critique your things. That's what I do for a living. It's part of what I do for a living, is I critique and help people grow as songwriters. Yeah. So that's going to happen. Okay, real quick. Let's. I'm rambling again. let's go to the bridge.
If I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. And there's bound to be rough waters, but I know I'll take some falls. But with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry.
That's called a breakdown. And what did they do? Modulation. They decided, and that's a good call on this song, because we've stayed in the dream state, right, where the chorus isn't big. The chorus is dreamlike, very much sung, very much like the verse, except for that one little up. Okay, so they said at the end, or one of the musicians might have even pulled this off at the session. Bruce might have gone, "Hey guys, why don't we kick this up a key?" And everyone was, yeah, great idea. And so, boom, kicked it up a key. And I thought that was nice to stay in the dream, but give it a little. Remember we talked about the arc of interest going up and up? That little modulation helped the last chorus not to level off. It kept it going, kept the momentum going, right? Okay, so what's in that bridge? And there's bound to be rough waters. Oh, did you notice that they changed the chord pattern? Yes, they changed the chord pattern. I think they went to the minor 6. I will sail this river. That starts on the 1. I believe, let's see.
Sail my vessel till the river runs dry. So I will sail my vessel till the river
5.
runs dry.
Okay, we're right on the 1. Till the, like if it's in the key of C. Till the G, the 5, to the 1, the C. That's the
and there's bound to be.
See how he walked down? C, ba, ba, It's in the key of D, actually. Went down to B minor. A little walk up there. Yeah, we have the walk. Just a walk from the minor 2, E minor. That's an F sharp minor, but it's actually a D. It's a D over an F sharp. G to A. All right? Very interesting. So, let's see what they're talking about. There's bound to be rough waters. And I know I'll take some falls. So now we're giving very specific examples of what he is going to go through. So, right? So in the second verse, too many times we, notice that there's you, me, and we. He's included a lot of different voices in this song, hasn't he? Interesting. Contrast. Remember we talked about unique detail, contrast, and repetition. Contrasting the this, and we, too many times we do this. And I love the we because it's including the singer, right? So the singer is part of the whole situation. So whenever you're talking about negativity, it's fun and more comfortable for an audience to include yourself rather than point the finger. You could say, too many times you stand aside and the water slip away till you put off till tomorrow what it's now become today, till what you put up. Notice that's very preachy, but when we go we, I'm part of this. So I can blame myself, all right? It's a great lesson, P.S. Great lesson. To use the we if you're trying to lecture somebody, it's a great thing to do. The we, I'm going to write that down, we. And this is preaching here, right? He's giving what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, he's preaching to the audience, like saying, you know, you've done something, you know, you could do something wrong, you know, and you don't want to be doing things wrong. Oh, dang, forgot the word I'm looking for. Yes, this song has a lot of prosody. Exactly, that's right. Yes, the song is actually chock full of prosody. Yes. Oh, and let me ask you guys, did the fan noise bother you? I guess it didn't because nobody said anything. Either Nina or Robert. Can you hear that fan? Is that annoying? Because here it is without the fan. And now I'm talking and talking and talking, and I'm talking without the fan, and you can hear me talking without the fan, and now here it is with the fan. Now I'm talking with the fan, talking and talking with the fan, I'm talking with the fan. No, it's fine, good. A guitar voice or louder? Okay, good. All right, because the fan helps keep the computer cool so it doesn't crash on me like it does. So now in the bridge, he's telling you very specific things about himself. There's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls. Okay, is there a little chuckle there? Take some falls. Get it? River, falls. Niagara, get it? Okay. But with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. Okay? So we got a little religion there, which, you know, country folk don't mind that whatsoever. They don't mind you referencing God, right? You can even reference Jesus now and then. But notice he only references it once, and he saves it to the end, right? Because when you reference God or Jesus or Muhammad or whatever, it's very heavy, it's very weighty. And so you don't want that to overweight your song. So, you know, when you know you're gonna reference God, it's a good kind of basic sort of instinct to save it until the end of the song because of all the weight that religion has, right? Again, big stuff, right? So he's telling you very specific things about what he's going to have to go through. It's going to be painful, but he's going to get through it, right? And he does it with it's bound to be rough waters. I know I'll take some falls. Notice he didn't change the line rhythm. He kept the line rhythm the same, but he changed the chords. So we have a subtle contrast, right? Subtle contrast to the rest of the song. And where is it? Towards the end of the song, where we need to keep the arc of interest, keep it going. It was a brilliant move on their part. to do a couple of simple little maneuvers, little chord maneuvers, staying well within the easy listening. It doesn't blow your mind. You don't go, whoa! You know, they could have gone, you know, they could have done something radical. Now my vessel till the river runs dry. You can say that I don't want thee, and he said that I could take you on the sea. You know, whoa, that something like that would take you out of the pocket, right? But no, they just use comfortable, different chords, but chords that stay within the bubble. They don't just punch you with it, they ease into it. A nice minor, well, as you know, the minor 6 is very much, very almost, there's only 1 or 2 notes that are different from the just this note. I'm doing a B minor 7. Change 1 note. See how subtle that is, how pretty that is. Very easy, and this is easy. Little build, nice build. We're coming, so again, the arc of interest is very gently, but definitely rising, right? Musically, a very nice little touch there, right? Very acceptable. That rise from the 2 rising up to the 5 is a very, almost a cliched lick. But in a song like this, where you're keeping the dream going and you don't want to burst the bubble, it's nice. It's familiar, and it's predictable. And so, and we have some nice words there too. As the good Lord is my captain, I can make it through them all. So we have the religious line coming with a very gentle and predictable lift into the final chorus. And what happens? A modulation and a slight breakdown, where a lot of the instruments stop playing for a minute. Or they diamond. Do you know what a diamond is? A diamond is when you... That's a diamond instead of... A diamond would be just strum and let it rain. So I sail my vessel till the river runs dry. I can show all the wonder in my sky. Never see? Nice, huh? Anyway, we're done. We're done for today. We are fully baked, people. And I want to thank you all for coming. And on Friday, we're going to get into Sledgehammer, an even deeper way to tell stories, where it's abstract. We're going to get into some abstract lyric. And then if we have time, we're going to switch from abstract, because that will pretty well cover a lot of the abstracting things. Well, actually, there's quite a few more abstract things we could talk about. We'll figure that out later. But we also talked about conversation. A way to tell a story is through a conversation. And we're going to use a couple of Beatles songs to do that, okay? All right, see you Friday for Sledgehammer. All right? Until then, keep her on the double nickel. See you on the flip-flop. Adios, man.